Guys, what you're looking at right here is XRP trading at less than a penny. And during this time period, XRP traded at less than a penny for over 5 years. It was trading sideways, no volume, wasn't moving. Everyone was screaming XRP was dead. Everyone was screaming XRP was going away. It was a banker coin. It was a failure. All these other digital assets were going up. XRP wasn't moving. Why would you hold XRP? Well, guys, if your investment thesis was based on what XRP was doing at the current moment in terms of price and listening to other people's theories, then you would have sold XRP, right?
In 2024 alone, the XRP ledger quietly handled over $3 billion in trading volume, an unsung victory that insiders say could signal a 1000X rally is coming. What if I told you that while most of the crypto world was chasing Bitcoin and Ethereum, a quieter revolution was unfolding behind the scenes on the XRP ledger? You've probably heard bold claims floating around, like Ripple's XRP is about to explode in value by 1,000 times. But what's the real story driving these whispers? Today, we're diving into the milestones, the regulatory wins, and the institutional shifts that have everyone asking, is XRP poised for history's biggest breakout? By the end of this video, you'll understand why a single pattern in XRP's evolution could forever change how we view crypto markets.
XRP is on the verge of a massive explosion. This is the moment we've all been waiting for. With partnerships skyrocketing and adoption rates soaring, XRP is set to redefine the crypto landscape. Get ready for unprecedented gains as the world wakes up to its potential. This is not just hype, it's a revolution in finance. Buckle up because XRP is about to take off like never before. Remember, this is not financial advice.
Ever since the dawn of blockchain, growth in crypto has been measured by price charts and market caps. We all know the headlines. Bitcoin surges, Ethereum scales, DeFi booms, until the next regulation spooks the crowd. But somewhere between all that noise, the XRP ledger was quietly stacking up a milestone that many missed: $3 billion in on-chain trading volume for 2024 alone. That's right. On a decentralized exchange that most people thought was sleeping, billions moved through a network built for speed, security, and low cost. So how did this happen? Let's rewind. While Bitcoin and Ethereum wrestled with congestion and fees, the XRP ledger's design from day one aimed to serve institutional players. Transactions settle in 3 to 5 seconds. Fees are fractions of a cent. Tokenization is baked in, allowing everything from fiat-pegged tokens to stablecoins to flow seamlessly. It's almost as if Ripple and its developer community looked at the banking world, said, "Hold my coffee," and built a blockchain tailor-made for Wall Street.
$3 billion don't just go into a risky something that might IPO. That doesn't just happen. People know something we don't, and apparently it shows here. I mean, XRP does have to get over 58 cents to not have a double top, but I do like that it hasn't gone down with the rest of the market. This case has been ending next week for 2 years, but we really might be getting close this time.
Then came the $3 billion figure that changed everything. Tyler Tassari, CTO of Omni Network, didn't mince words when he said that number is just the tip of the iceberg. For him and other industry insiders, it proved real demand exists for an institutional-grade blockchain. Imagine the power of billions in volume before banks even show up. Now picture what happens when they do. More liquidity, tighter spreads, and a network that suddenly morphs from underdog DEXs to Wall Street's preferred rails. Of course, nothing happens in crypto without the regulatory puzzle piece falling into place. Enter President Donald Trump back in office and hinting at a pro-crypto executive order. Industry leaders, including Circle's CEO, have publicly suggested that Trump might greenlight banks to offer crypto services to their richest clients. For years, big players stayed on the sidelines, afraid of gray areas and shifting rules. But with a clear directive from the top, the barriers to entry collapse overnight. Imagine Bank of America, JP Morgan, and Goldman Sachs all routing trades through an XRP-powered DEX.
Calling all members of the XRP Army. Goldman Sachs has just declared Ripple a huge opportunity in payments. They list Ripple as the top contender against Circle and Coinbase. This is huge.
Bank of America's CEO has already signaled willingness to adopt blockchain tech once regulation clears up. That's the sovereign thumbs-up institutions crave. And when they dive in, they don't trickle in, they flood in. We're talking hedge funds shifting billions, treasury departments experimenting with tokenized cash, and cross-border payments settling in seconds instead of days. If that scenario unfolds, the XRP ledger won't just handle $3 billion a year. It could see volumes that dwarf anything we've seen before. But what cements XRP's edge isn't just raw speed or ultra-low fees. It's the underpinning architecture built with compliance in mind. Last September, RippleX developer proposals introduced permissioned domains, designated zones where KYC, AML, and other regulatory checks are enforced at the protocol level. Picture a gated community for banks, where every participant is verified, every transaction logged, and every risk mitigated. No more debating custodian rules or scrambling for audit trails. Compliance becomes a feature, not an afterthought.
Did you hear what Bank of America's CEO said? Did you hear what Brian Armstrong just said? When they get regulation, they're coming in full force. The CEO of Bank of America said, "We're going hard." That was his words. We're coming in hard. Boom. You are still in before the institutions. So people can say, am I late to crypto? Are you kidding me? You're super early, okay? All right. So promises made, promises kept. After 4,125 days in prison, the real Donald Trump has granted full pardon to Ross Ulbricht, founder of the Silk Road. Promises made, promises kept. More things happening here. Trump announces AI infrastructure investment backed by Oracle, OpenAI. We know SoftBank has a big relationship with Ripple. All right, here we go.
With permissioned domains live, institutions can onboard with confidence. They can issue fiat-backed tokens, settle large-scale trades, and maintain regulatory transparency, all on one shared ledger. That's a stark contrast to other blockchains that force banks to bolt on third-party solutions or build custom forks. On XRP, it's native. And when the world's largest financial players see that level of institutional readiness, they don't ask, why XRP? They ask, why not XRP? So let's tie it all back to our title. This XRP pattern means a 1000x rally is coming. It's the convergence of milestones and momentum. First, the $3 billion milestone showed the ledger's tech can move real money at scale. Next, a shifting regulatory climate, starred by a potential executive order, promises to unlock trillions more. Finally, permission domains offer the compliance layer that turns open-source code into a bank's best friend. Those three forces together create a feedback loop. More institutions join, volume soars, network effects strengthen, and price appreciation follows.
Starting the week off with a little pump, Bitcoin back up to 31,000, XRP pushing 53 cents. We'd love to see it. But this morning I dropped a video. I highly recommend you guys check it out. If you're wondering what type of impact the AMM amendment is going to have on the XRP ledger. This is the automated market maker. Essentially, in the most simple terms, it's a trading bot to put in between currency pairs. So you got a liquidity pool between XRP and Bitcoin. You put both assets on each side. The discrepancy, the arbitrage, the margin in between generates a yield for those that provide that liquidity. If you put your XRP or if you put your Bitcoin into that liquidity pool, it's going to generate a yield for you. But the reason why I'm calling this the real flip of the switch is because this will allow Ripple to move their on-demand liquidity flows and volumes over to the XRPL DEX. See, previously and up until now, all of the on-demand liquidity has been flowing on centralized exchanges, has no impact on price. When it moves to the DEX, that's a different story.
Now, skeptics will point to past crypto hype cycles, to broken promises and dead blockchains. But this pattern feels different. It's not about tweets or pump tokens. It's about durable architecture, real-world use cases, and alignment with how the traditional financial system operates. When XRP's trading volume skyrockets 100-fold, then 500-fold, will we call it a bubble? Or the natural outcome of a blockchain finally fulfilling its original promise? Fast, cheap, compliant transactions for everyone from retail traders to global banks? Only time will tell. But if you believe in patterns, if you study how technology, regulation, and market demand intersect, you'll see the writing on the ledger. And if that writing points toward a 1000x upswing, then maybe it's time to take a closer look at XRP before the rest of the world catches on.
Exposing the biggest game changer in crypto history. Ripple's XRP is about to burn half its supply. Ripple just announced a shocking plan to burn half of all XRP tokens. That's right, 50% of the total supply, gone. Why is this huge? With fewer tokens available, the scarcity could drive the price sky high. We're talking a potential explosion up to $10,000 per XRP. Imagine your modest XRP investment turning into a fortune overnight. But hold on, before you break out the champagne, remember, the crypto market is always full of surprises.
Since we've already mapped out the core pillars driving XRP's potential 1,000x surge, milestone trading volumes, a pro-crypto regulatory shift, and institution-friendly compliance zones, let's now dig deeper into the emerging signals, on-chain patterns, and ecosystem developments that suggest the rocket fuel is already being loaded. First, consider the whale activity rippling through XRP markets. Over the past 6 months, wallets holding between 10 million and 100 million XRP have increased their balances by an average of 12%. These holders aren't retail speculators chasing headlines. They're sophisticated players quietly accumulating before announcing positions. On-chain analytics platforms show that these whales now control nearly 45% of the circulating supply, an all-time high. Historically, such concentration has preceded sharp price moves. When a critical mass of large holders shifts from accumulation to distribution, price volatility spikes, often on the upside. If just a fraction of whale-held XRP re-enters the market under the right narrative, say a major bank pilot going live, the resulting buying pressure could spark that first parabolic move toward 100x. And once momentum builds, retail FOMO and algorithmic trading bots can send it exponentially higher.
And I believe XRP, the token, is going to be part of these ecosystems. Not the chosen one, not the only one. It's going to be part of the ecosystem. And if I'm a betting man, I'm going to bet on something that I can measure. And I have many other cryptocurrencies, many other investments outside of cryptocurrency. So it's about taking a deep breath, putting on a logical circuit, and making good, intelligent investments. Instead of being emotional, because if you're emotional and your emotions look like the market, you're going to get wrecked like 99% of the market. Remember, we're the exit liquidity. Wall Street wins 100% of the time. So I've shared with you guys, what I do is I focus on the risk pyramid. On the left side of the risk pyramid is high risk, high return, which cryptocurrency is at the top of that right now without regulation. So when it goes up in the back end of this year in the bull run, I pull profits as everybody's coming in. I pull it down. I make sure my family's insured and my wealth is insured. Also going to put more money into my business to create more cash flow.
Next, let's talk about developer momentum. Metrics from open source repositories reveal that the XRP Ledger's codebase saw a 37% jump in pull requests and issues closed in Q1 2025 compared to the same period in 2024. New commits have focused on scalability improvements, smart contract compatibility via hooks integrations, and enhanced governance tools. In other words, the tech isn't static, it's evolving. Each upgrade shrinks the gap between XRP and more developer-friendly platforms like Ethereum or Solana. As building tools like hooks become production-ready, we'll see decentralized applications, from tokenized securities to on-chain lending platforms, migrate to XRP. That migration not only increases on-chain volume, but also brings fresh eyes and fresh capital. For traders looking at patterns, rising developer contributions and ecosystem growth often foreshadow multi-month price rallies. Meanwhile, partnerships are quietly forming behind the scenes. Ripple's strategic alliances in emerging markets, especially corridors in Southeast Asia and the Middle East, are accelerating cross-border settlement trials. One recently announced pilot with a consortium of UAE banks aims to settle interbank transfers on the XRP ledger by Q3 2025. Even if that pilot processes only hundreds of millions in volumes initially, the symbolic impact is huge. It validates the ledger's ability to handle real-world finance at scale. Such use cases become case studies, convincing regional central banks to explore XRP-based CBDC bridges or tokenized national currencies. Every new pilot, no matter how small, builds the narrative that XRP is more than speculation. It's infrastructure. And in the crypto world, infrastructure stories tend to drive the biggest rallies.
The latest bullish news circulating, XRP is back in the spotlight, and we're here to break it down for you. However, XRP hasn't had an easy journey. The cryptocurrency has faced significant challenges, including regulatory hurdles that have cast doubt on its future. Market skepticism has also persisted, especially following the SEC lawsuit that raised questions about its legitimacy. Understanding these challenges is crucial as we look at the current landscape. Despite these obstacles, Ripple is making significant strides. The latest developments in Ripple's technology, alongside strategic partnerships with major financial institutions, have contributed to a more positive outlook. Additionally, there have been encouraging signs regarding regulatory progress, which are fostering bullish sentiment around XRP. The key piece of news that signifies a major shift for Ripple and XRP is the recent court ruling that favors Ripple in its ongoing legal battle with the SEC. This ruling has not only boosted investor confidence but also sent shockwaves through the market, suggesting a brighter future for XRP and its potential.
Of course, sentiment is the fuel that ignites these fundamentals. Social media indicators show a dramatic uptick in positive XRP sentiment on Twitter and specialized forums. The XRP hashtag has trended in 3 major markets: India, Nigeria, and Brazil, each for multiple sessions over the past 2 months. Those regions are hotbeds of crypto adoption, with remittance corridors hungry for faster, cheaper rails. As local users share success stories, instant settlements instead of multi-day bank transfers, the grassroots narrative strengthens. This narrative isn't just hype, it demonstrates product-market fit. And when global traders see that real people are benefiting from XRP's unique value proposition, they pile in too, reinforcing price action and driving the pattern toward a breakout. Let's also examine technical chart patterns. In late 2024, XRP formed what chartists call an inverse head and shoulders on the weekly. That pattern typically signals a major trend reversal. After completing the right shoulder in March 2025, XRP broke past the neckline with strong volume, confirming the bullish signal. Since then, prices have retested the breakout level, another positive sign that the market is respecting this technical pivot. If volume keeps climbing through each retest, the path is clear to new highs. For traders attuned to patterns, successful inversions on major timeframes often precede multi-100% rallies. Stack on top of that the narrative shifts we've covered: regulatory clarity, compliance domains, whale accumulation, and the thesis for a 1000x move starts to look less like pipe dream and more like an emergent pattern.
And we can see a variety of times that we have respected the 500-day moving average. Here, we have here as resistance. And we can see historically the XRP price chart using the 500-day moving average has some very nice reactions around this level. Just as it got this huge impulse before the SEC lawsuit and a big crash, back to support, flip to resistance, and then even here a little bit of resistance on these 2 highs, finally flip to support and blast off. And now with this recent crash, we've come all the way back down to the 500-day MA again, so I want to see us hold this level. In this whole move we had right here, resistance, flip to support, got that big impulse. Reminds me so much of this move back in 2020 before we got that big impulse and also another huge crash back below the 500-day. Got the impulse, huge crash, V-shaped recovery. We got the impulse, huge crash. Let's see where we go and find our level of support, and let's get that V-shaped recovery. And taking a look at the XRP price.
In the end, the most compelling story isn't hype, it's evidence. The XRP ledger has already proven its technical chops with billions in volume. It's primed for trillions more once banks and regulators give the nod. Permissioned domains offer a built-in compliance framework that no other public blockchain can match. Whales are stacking, developers are building, and pilots are rolling out across the globe. When all these threads converge, they form a clear pattern. The ingredients for an unprecedented rally are in place. Whether that rally becomes a 100x or a 1000x move will depend on timing, execution, and the broader market environment. But if history teaches us anything, it's that when technology, regulation, capital, and sentiment align, markets tend to follow, and they tend to follow in spectacular fashion. So watch the pattern closely, because if it plays out as insiders predict, the next chapter for XRP could be the biggest breakout the crypto world has ever seen. So, are we on the brink of history's most astonishing crypto rally? Will the XRP ledger and everyone betting on it rewrite the rules of global finance? Let me know your thoughts below, and don't forget to subscribe for more deep dives into the forces shaping tomorrow's markets.